The South African Council of Churches has joined the chorus asking FW de Klerk to retract his recent statements on apartheid. The former president denies that apartheid was a crime against humanity. I'm now joined by Bishop Malusi Mpumlwana from the South African Council of Churches. Bishop, thank you for your time. What is the SACC's official position on the recent denial by former President FW de Klerk?
Thank you for having me. The SACC leadership reacted in particular to the statement made by the de Klerk Foundation, which was issued on Friday, which basically not only denies that apartheid was a crime, it actually tries to to compare the atrocities of apartheid kind of like in a better light than atrocities elsewhere in the world. As if there's a measure of comparing atrocities. And it also does an unthinkable thing of saying, actually, there was more death from black on black. Now, I see that as maybe some kind of staffer's writing, and that is why we are appealing to the leadership of the de Klerk Foundation to withdraw that, to retract that, and apologize. We don't believe, I mean, in all naivety, that it would be the proper thinking of the de Klerk Foundation, although they are repeating what Mr. de Klerk himself said. We did not want to engage on Mr. de Klerk without talking to him personally, and that is why our statement at this point was focused on the administration. Also because, whereas Mr. de Klerk is a leader is the last president of the apartheid state, and therefore belongs to that era. The organization itself does not belong to that era. It belongs to the democratic constitutional era, which has a constitution that opens with a preamble that says, we acknowledge the hurts of the past and that we should work for the healing of our society. Now, if this institution, which belongs to the present era, can take the trouble to clarify in favor of apartheid of the past, we think that is an error, is a mistake. And so we want to engage with them and with the support of that approach. We are separating this from the person of Mr. de Klerk, whom we understand to belong to a different era. And he's not the only one who has denied the criminality of apartheid. But we are quite prepared and ready to have separate conversations because our purpose is to ensure that all South Africans come together towards a common goal of a unified common identity of South Africa that is reconciled. That's our goal as churches. And so that's why we will not let this go, but we will engage both the institution and the person of the Klerk.
So we saw from scenes in Parliament at the State of the Nation address this past week that this issue raises serious questions of accountability. And as you've been saying, that unification of society was brought into sharp light. That has not happened. The potential to undermine the reconciliation process is massive. Apart from a retraction from both former President FW de Klerk in his personal capacity and the FW de Klerk Foundation, what else needs to be done?
Well, there's a whole lot that needs to be done, and the reality is that 1994 was a political settlement. A political settlement that was supposed to lay the foundation for the rest of the transition to happen. It has not yet happened, we know that. And so the reconciliation does require for there to be if you like, a reconciled economic dispensation, which we don't have. There has to be a reconciliation that deals with ways of reversing the past, the areas of the brokenness of family life that happens as a result of that past, the poverty that was clearly, if you like, engineered by the apartheid system and the colonial system before then. All of these things need all of us to put our hands on deck to get involved. Society must work for a future that all of us can be proud of. And there's a lot to be done. I have to say that the South African Council of Churches initiated a national convention process a couple of years ago, which came out with a manifesto that is proposing action. We shall continue to be calling people together in May to take that forward, because a lot of work has to be done. But for that to happen, everybody must have a positive mind towards it. And Mr. de Klerk's foundation has a role to play in that direction, and they must, sort of live up to it.
Well, thank you very much. We have been speaking to Bishop Malusi Mpumlwana from the South African Council of Churches.